Welcome to Kaumudy Global. I'm Anjana and here to let you know that Air Chief Marshal Chaudhari may head Service Chiefs panel. Indian Air Force Chief Air Chief Marshal Vivek Chaudhari is expected to take over as the officiating chairman of the Chiefs of Staff Committee shortly, and in that capacity, he will be responsible for promoting synergy, cooperation and jointness among the three services in the absence of a Chief of Defence Staff. Officials familiar with the development said on Monday requesting anonymity. It's the first time for IAF to be heading the post of chairmanship among all three forces of Indian Defence Service. Chaudhari became the senior-most commander in the Indian Armed Forces after General Manoj Mukund Naravane retired as Army Chief on April 30th. Naravane took charge as the officiating chairman of COSC after India's first CDS General Bipin Rawat was killed in a helicopter crash near Konoor in Tamil Nadu on December 8, 2021. Chaudhari was commissioned in the Indian Air Force as a fighter pilot on 29 December 1982. He's a Category A qualified flying instructor and instrument rating instructor and examiner. He has a flying experience of over 3,800 hours on various fighter aircrafts, including MiG-21, MiG-23MF, MiG-29 and Sukhoi Su-30 MKI. He was also a pioneer member of the Surya Kiran Aerobatic Display Team. As a fighter pilot, he flew operational missions during Operation Meghdoot and Operation Safed Sagar. Chaudhari has commanded the MiG-29 Squadron, No. 28 Squadron IAF at Jamnagar and the forward base in Avantipur in Jammu and Kashmir. He also served as the Chief Operations Officer of the Srinagar Air Force Station. As an Air Commodore, he served as an Air Assistant to the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Chief Marshal Pradeep Vasant Naik. He subsequently commanded the Lohegaon Air Base in Pune. He has served as an instructor at DSSC Wellington as well as Defence Services Command and Staff College at Lusaka, Zambia. After promotion to Air Vice Marshal, Chaudhari served as the Assistant Chief of Air Staff Operations at Air Headquarters and as the Deputy Commandant at the Air Force Academy, Dindigal. He subsequently was appointed the Assistant Chief of Air Staff Personnel Officers and later as Deputy Chief of Air Staff at Air Headquarters. On 1st October 2019, he was appointed Senior Air Staff Officer of the Eastern Air Command in Shillong. After a short stint, on 1st August 2020, he was appointed Air Officer Commanding-in-Chief, Western Air Command. On 21st September 2021, the Government of India appointed Chaudhari as the next Chief of the Air Staff after the retirement of Air Chief Marshal Rakesh Kumar Singh Bahaduria on 30th September 2021. The CDS's post has been vacant for almost 5 months as the government was yet to name Rawat's successor. Before the government created the post of CDS and the Department of Military Affairs in December 2019, the senior-most service chief held the charge of chairman of COSC and was responsible for the Inter-Services Cooperation. The erstwhile structure for inter-services cooperation was considered weak as the chairmanship of COSC kept rotating and chiefs often headed the committee for barely a few months before their retirement. As CDS, Rawat wore multiple hats. He was a permanent chairman of COSC, headed DMA and was the single-point military advisor to the Defence Minister. The government expected Rawat, who took charge as CDS on January 1, 2020, to bring about jointness among the three services in a 3-year time frame by January 2023. One of the means to achieve jointness is the setting up of integrated theatre commands. Chaudhari is set to take over as officiating chairman of COSC at a time when India is working on a roadmap for the military's theaterization to best utilize the resources of the three services for future wars and operations. Rawat was spearheading the theaterization drive, and his demise was seen as a setback to the ongoing military reforms. With General Naravane having retired, a new officiating chairman of COSC will now be appointed. In the absence of a CDS, this is an appropriate arrangement, but could further impact the military reform process that is the primary mandate of the CDS, said former Northern Army Commander, Lieutenant General D.S. Hooda. Days after taking over as Air Force Chief, Chaudhari said in October 2021 that the Air Force was fully committed to tri-service integration to maximize the country's combat capability. Its concerns about the theoretization model had been factored into the planning process and hoped that the new structures would cater for joint planning of operations at all levels. The current theoretization model to enhance tri-service synergy seeks to set up 4 integrated commands, 2 land-centric theaters, an air defense command, and a maritime theater command. The 3 services are expected to submit comprehensive reports on theoretization and joint structures shortly. The armed forces currently have 17 single service commands spread across the country. The Indian Army and the Indian Air Force have 7 commands each, while the Indian Navy has 3. Creating theaters would involve merging the existing commands, except the Udhampur-based Northern Command. The Indian Army's Northern Command is the only single service command that will stay outside the scope of the military's theoretization drive because of its critical role. It is responsible for guarding the country's borders with Pakistan and China in the north and is a nerve center of counter-terrorism operations in Jammu and Kashmir. The new Army Chief General Manoj Pandey and the other 2 service chiefs are course mates from the National Defense Academy and share a great equation, the officials said. Chaudhari, Pandey and Navy Chief Admiral R. Harikumar are from the 61st NDA course. Pandey, who called on Defense Minister Rajnath Singh in his office on Monday, had earlier said he and the other 2 chiefs had grown up together in their formative years in NDA and it was a good beginning of synergy, cooperation and jointmanship. This is Anjana signing off. Do like and share this video. For further updates, subscribe to Kaumudy Global.